Welcome to Low Tone Lights. My name is Adormo Mile, and I will be your server for tonight. We hope that you can take a break from the mind tornadoes outdoors with a fabulous evening. Before we start our meal, please feel free to grab a drink or pillow. All our dishes are expertise free, made with local opinions, and contain 100% personal insights. If you're allergic to any of our ingredients, we are sorry to inform you that our kitchen does not possess any alternative stock. Also, please consider tipping to our Totify campaign for the Unbound organization to help families across the globe escape from monetary and intellectual poverty for a gift of thanks from us at Low Tone Lights. That wraps up the preparations for our course. So let's begin. Our inspiration for tonight's course, The Right Tone, starts with our hors d'oeuvre, audio persona bites. How do we get to know someone? In our humble opinion, voices are an easy way to get accustomed to someone unfamiliar, such as a phone call, like the operator, an announcement, like on the subway, or a celebrity. We hear them act, we hear them sing, we hear them conduct interviews. We hear them so much, we know them just by their voice. Because we hear various voices so often, we do not consciously ponder upon their impact unless we encounter extreme examples, such as a shrill voice, a raspy voice, or a celebrity who has a very different voice when conducting interviews compared to when they're acting. When first impressions matter as much as they do today, considering an element that contributes to said image may be a fascinating process. A quick teaser of our thought process can be seen with our appetizer, Replay Tartar. Now, consider this line. Let's get ready to rumble. Do you know where this line is used? Even if you don't, is there a specific way you would say this line? Does a small spike of adrenaline hit you when you hear this line? This is when the context and content of a line are crucial for understanding the meaning behind the words. Now, let's get ready to rumble is traditionally used before a boxing match. The announcer will say this line in order to hype up an audience. But let's consider the content of the line, let's get ready to rumble. What exactly does that have to do with boxing? Let's get ready, that makes sense. But everyone is getting ready for the boxing match. Why rumble though? Who exactly is rumbling? The boxers? They will most likely be tumbling to the floor when they get knocked out. The audience? They will be roaring, not rumbling. The analysts? They will be exclaiming, but once again, not rumbling. Why rumble? Maybe it could be the vibe of the audience. Also, it could easily just be because announcers should have an easier time pronouncing the word rumble when they're projecting their voice into the microphone. You don't necessarily have to know the exact reason though, because the context of the line, when it's used in a boxing match, is a time of excitement, of action, of emotion. That association that we have with this line is what makes us feel a certain way when we hear the words, let's get ready to rumble. Now, doesn't this mean that there is a potential connection between the way we hear a line and the way we perceive a line don't necessarily have to have any relation to the actual content of the line? We continue down the mind map with our salad, character Caesar salad. Imagine your favorite character. It can be from any medium, comics, TV shows, movies, books, anywhere. Now imagine the character saying a line. It can be iconic or a common phrase that they say. With that in mind, think about the major characteristics about the character. Are they energetic, obnoxious, or caring? If your answer was yes for any of these, does this character have a high pitched voice? Now, if your character was thoughtful, heartless, or wise, did they have a low voice? Now, why is this the evolution from our appetizer to the salad? Because we are going beyond the line into an entire persona. But instead of what we usually think of when defining a persona, such as storylines, relationships with other characters, or their own background, now what we're doing is using a voice tone to see how it characterizes a persona. While not made all the time, this correlation could signal about how we can easily make assumptions about someone's personality and characteristics solely from the kind of voice they speak with. Now, think about that. The complexities of a character all bundled down to one thing: their voice. How presumptive is that? Now, imagine if you, dear customer, are also trimmed down to one thing that defines everything about who you may be with only your voice. Doesn't sound plausible? Well, let's go to our next course. At last, we arrive at our main course: lingual fish and chips. There are stereotypes from all hemispheres, continents, and nations. But let's try a thought experiment. Think of a language, one you can either speak or imagine with its native enunciation. Does that language stress on the consonants or the vowels? If the answer is consonants, is the stereotype for nations that speak that language uptight, organized, or have some relation to fear? For nations with languages that speak vowels, is the stereotype lazy, relaxed, or sophisticated? Sometimes languages don't have to be from different continents to have a contrast. Let's take French and German, for example. One of these nations possess an image of leisure, and the other certainly does not. But when we think about their languages, one definitely stresses on the vowels while the other stresses on the consonants. Now, isn't that fascinating? But let's try imagining a potential explanation for why this effect occurs. Consonants naturally sound harder than vowels, so with a hard sound, wouldn't it be possible that our minds naturally imagine other things that are hard, like a brick? On the flip side, with soft sounding vowels, wouldn't people tend to think of more softer things, like a pillow? Now, let's imagine what this means. An entire nation full of individuals, all with their personalities, their stories, and their complexities, are stereotyped or can be stereotyped by the sound of the language they speak, which they did not choose to speak, but were born into speaking and were raised into speaking. Is that fair? Is that right? Is that wrong? I hope everything was to your liking. May I interest you in some dessert? Tonight, we are offering Sonar Imagination Sundae. We might not be giving the tone of voices the level of credit that it deserves for its potential influence. Perhaps a social experiment may already highlight the imagery and stereotypes that was a part of tonight's course. Perhaps a psychological explanation of our perception and reactions to hard and soft sounds would help unravel some of the questions we have brought up today. After this course, take a listen to those around you. Do some sound nicer than others? Do some create reactions that others didn't? Was it similar to some of the ideas suggested by tonight's course? We would love to hear your thoughts afterwards. Thank you for joining us this week. If you have anything to inform management about your experience, please refer to our Twitter, Reddit, or Facebook. Once again, if you wish to support Low Tone Lights, a tip to our Totify campaign is always appreciated. All contributions go to the Unbound organization, supporting families and children across the world for better living conditions and educational opportunities. As an establishment passionate about cooking with new ideas, we wish to contribute to more people having the chance to share their dishes to make a more interesting world. All details about the cause and our gifts in gratitude of your generosity are in our Tiltify campaign, so feel free to take a look at how you can provide the ingredients for an amazing meal to those who need it most. Thank you so much for visiting us today, and we hope you will be with us when our lights turn back on.